traders, how are we doing today? This is just going to be a short video on the version 6. This would just cover the upgrades that have been made to it. So I'm not going to go over the whole thing. For that, go back and read the other videos or watch the other videos previously. This would be just concerning some of the upgrades that have been done to it. I may go back a little bit depending on, I don't quite remember where I left off in the previous one. I'm not going to go look at it. But this is basically what version 6 looks like. As you notice, it looks pretty close to the same thing. You get version 6 up here, tells you. And basically what we're going to be talking about are some of the buttons down here. We'll be going over a lot of these buttons right here. And as you know, this is the, tells you kind of the market direction for the day. Now this is Saturday, so the market's closed, so this will be from Friday. And at the time the market closed yesterday, 60.7% of the 28 pairs that we watch were down for the day, and 39.3% of the 28 were up for the day. Remember, this just looks at these 28 pairs and looks at where they opened for the day and where they were presently at. In this case, where they are at when they closed for the day, because this is Saturday and Friday is closed. So, but this will change during the day as the prices on these move up and down according to where they opened at. And this will give you a rough idea what's going on. Now also, in the heat map, these numbers will be reflected in the color of the pair. So in this case, like you look at the, let's say we look at the Aussie CAD, the name is in red. So that means when it closed for the day on Friday, because this is Saturday. Now these will change as the day progresses when the market is open. These can vary because these are all based, remember, on the open of the day. So if it starts off below the open of the day, it'll be red, and then as the price moves above the open of the day, this could turn to green. But in this case, this will be from Friday, and these are all closed. So like the Aussie CAD, if you look at it, it should tell us that the price closed below the open of the day. Let's close all these other charts down here for now, just get them out of the way. So if we go look at the Aussie CAD, and you can see where the price, this is Friday, you can see the market's closed because now we're over here in the Saturday, which it's closed. As you can see, here's where it opened for the day, and Friday when it closed it was down here. So we were actually down about 6 pips or so. So that's basically what that will tell you. Now we have, I remember looking at that, this tells you where they are in reference to the daily open for that pair. The now, as you recall, we got the bars here. I probably mentioned this before, but you got 2 bars. You'll have a red bar in this case, and an orange bar below it. And here you'll have a green bar and a lighter green bar below it. Now what this means is the red bar tells you the strength of the euro odd. In this case, it's going down because it's red. So this tells you what the present strength is, the red one. The orange one tells you what the present strength was previously. So if you're on an hour chart, the red bar will tell you what it is for this hour. The orange bar tells you what it was for the previous hour. And as you can see in this case, it is getting stronger in the negative direction because the red bar is longer than the orange bar. Same way with the Euro CAD, it's getting stronger in the negative direction. Here's a case like with the Euro Pound. In the present hour, it is a little bit weaker than it was in the previous hour. Now remember, the market's closed right now, so these are left over from Friday. Same way here, it's getting a little weaker in the short direction. Then you got the green ones. This case, it's telling you presently it's getting stronger in the long direction from what it previously was on the hour chart, because we got 60 down here. Remember, this is the hour chart. So if you look at this one here, you can see it's getting stronger in the long direction, and it is also above the open for today. These always represent just today. They don't have nothing to do with what you have selected down here. These will always tell you where it is in reference to what it opened today. They do not tell you weekly, monthly, or hourly. These are always daily colors here. So as you can see, these were all down for the day, and also your graphs are going down for the day. These are above the open for today. When the new day starts, these will all update to a new day. And these will keep updating continuously, just like this graph will down here throughout the day. So these can change. These will change. So you may see these change on you. They don't just stay one particular color all day. So it could be below the open, and then all of a sudden it pops above the open, and it could change to green. So remember that. Okay, so that basically is that. These down here tells you what each currency is doing. In this case, the euro is really weak, and it even is getting just a little bit weaker. And the New Zealand is kind of strong. It dropped off just a little bit. The Canadian is getting stronger. But this tells you what each currency is doing. Same way with the colors, red and orange, and the two greens. Same thing as we did up here, I told you. Now the pair names will not change color. These will always just be yellow, just to show you which pair you're working with. Okay, now this is called the market. Remember, market watch, which corresponds to this. Now if you click the market button, it changes to pair direction percentage, and it tells you which pairs the percentage is for the day. Now what this will do, it'll range, and these are sorted according to the biggest mover so far for the day. And in this case, the Euro New Zealand, since the market is closed, now we're done, on Friday was the biggest mover according to this from its open for Friday, was the Euro New Zealand dollar, which was 0.8% in the negative direction. So if we go look at the Euro New Zealand, we should see a big move down. Here is the open for the day. You can see we went way down. So it's telling us it was the biggest mover. And if you go down here to the smallest mover, which was the Canadian yen, moved a little bit in the positive direction. And here you can see the open, and here's where it closed Friday, so it was a very small amount. So that's basically what that is telling you when you click it once it says pair direction. Now if you want to trade these like this, depending on where they are in reference to the open for the day, you can use this as a filter, just like we were with the heat map. So if you click this button again, Now it says market filter, and you notice now all these change color. Now these will change along with these numbers when the market's open according to where the price is going. So these are not static once you click on them, so these can change. So if like this one is, the pound Swissy is long for the day. If he goes all of a sudden goes below the daily open, this could change to a short. And so this will act as a filter. So now any TS you have coming in over here with this signal will have to match this over here. So you can use it as a filter. Now when you're playing around with these, we'll get to the strength here. This works the same way. First click just shows you this, and if you happen to have the graph turned on, it'll put it over to the side. You click this again, now it uses these as a filter, just like I was telling you for the market watch. Now you're using them as a filter, and they will filter any TS signal coming in. This does not trade over here by itself. This is just a filter. So anything coming over here on a TS has to match over here, short, long, or NT for no trade. Now if you click it again, you notice it says F in front of it. That means it's on as a filter, and right now it's on the 1 hour. If you click it again, now we can use it as a trading signal. You notice these all go back to buy or sell. Now what happens when it gets a trading signal from the heat map, you will get it in this TS column, and it will trade that way, strictly on the heat map. Of course, you have to have your buttons turned on over here, and you have to have a trading time selected or this turned on, and you also have to have the TS turned on. Now, one thing I was going to mention is when you go flipping through this, like this, or you go flipping through the market one like this, and as these start changing over here and that, if you got TS's running or something, turn this off, because you don't want to be flipping through this like this, and then all of a sudden a signal shows up from here and triggers a buy or a sell over here where you don't want it to be triggered. So be sure you turn this off just to protect yourself if you're going to start flipping through this thing down here. Okay, so we turn the heat map off. Okay, corral. This is correlation, and it defaults to the 1 hour auto mode. Auto mode means it will look at take into account all the candles in your chart. If you want to set that, you can change that in the properties. Back here, there's settings for that. If you don't want to look back at all the candles, you can set it for 50 candles, 100 candles, whatever you want to do, and you can also set the time frame. And it's set at 0.8 default, which is 80% correlation. And if you click it, it comes up with the correlation. Now this is a little bit different than before. Now I'm going to turn the heat map back on here. Now you see it says the first 5 are the core 5, and when you add the purple ones to it, you get the core 14, and then of course all the leftover ones if you want to do 28. But now if you notice here, it says Aussie Yen, and it's got a red line under it. That means the red line, if you look up here, it matches this. It means it's below the open for the day. So the Aussie Yen below the open for the day could be moving down. And in this case, actually, it's down, but it's for the day below the open, but it's actually moving up a little bit. You can see here by the bar chart. But that's what that tells you. The red line tells you what the Aussie Yen is compared to the open for the day. Now you notice the ones that correlate with it. Well, let's go over here to the pound yen. It's easier to see over here. The pound yen is below the open for the day. And you notice all of these correlate on the 1 hour chart for that. These are the ones that correlate. So if you trade the pound yen in the long direction, you can trade all of these in the long direction. If you trade the pound yen in the short direction, you trade all these in the short direction because they correlate in the same direction 80% of the time, according to what we got here on the hour chart. Now what the little dot next to it means is the pound dollar is below the open for the day. The Swiss yen is below the open for the day. The pound Swissy is above the open for the day. Same way with these next two, and then these three are below the open for the day. So as you can see, the pound yen is below the open for the day. So you may want to, I haven't tried a lot of this yet, but you may want to match up where the pound yen is in reference to its daily open, and maybe build a basket just using the pound yen, the pound dollar, this Swiss yen, and then these last three, and maybe even leave these three out because they are above the open for the day, and maybe at the present time, since we're on the hour chart, maybe going in the wrong direction. Even though it tells us these usually go in the same direction, you'll have periods of time when they are going opposite directions. So that is just something I put there. So if you want to try it out and use it, go ahead. Remember, the red line under the pair tells you where it is in reference to the daily open. This one is below it. Over here, the New Zealand dollar is above the open. And the red dot tells you which each pair is in reference to its open. Okay, so that about covers that. And remember, these red and green dots and red and green lines correspond to these over here. So like the NAS dollar is green. If you look down here, the NAS dollar is green also. So you may want to go look through this and match up, and then also look at your bar graphs to build. It's basically to help you build a better basket or pick better pairs to trade. Okay, so that's correlation. And remember, when you click it the second time, you get a bunch of red ones. These are the ones that usually travel in the opposite direction from what the main one is doing. Notice you got one here. This one travels usually in the opposite direction. So that's what that tells you when you click it again. And you can click it and it clears off. Now we got gaps. I've changed this a little bit. I've now set it up so it sorts these in descending order. You notice the strongest one, the biggest gap, 17.9 pips, was on the Euro Canadian dollar. And these here didn't have hardly any gap at all. If it was very small. Oops, sorry about that. I had to clear my throat. If I turned it off here, but I didn't. Okay, so we got in descending order, the EuroCAD should have about a 17.9 gap. Now, this is best to use at the beginning of the week, the start of the new week. Now, right now, what I'm looking at is the start of Friday, the open of Friday. So on Friday, the EuroCAD had some big gap for some reason. So we can go look at that EuroCAD. Yep, look at that. Closed up here. Open down here, and there's your 17.9 pip gap it had at the open. So remember, this is only going to show you the gaps at the beginning of the day, start of a new day. Like now it's showing you Friday, but normally you use this like Sunday night when the new week starts, and that's when you get the big gaps, and then you can decide whether you want to trade them or not. You can pick them out of here and do what you want with them. That's about all this is for. And in this case, you can see we had 84.9 pips of short gaps, and we only had 1.9 pips of positive gapping when you add the green ones together. Okay, and then we got the RSI. Right now it's picking. Remember, the settings are for these in the properties. Right now we're on the hourly. I kind of like to trade the hourly chart. And we're looking back 0 days. So we're just looking at the previous closed candle to see where it's at for the RSI. In this case, we got a whole bunch of RSIs that are telling us we're oversold. And we got 3 of them telling us we're overbought. So you can do this to build a basket. You could build a basket, say, out of these and trade it in one direction, and then if you wanted to, this would be a smaller basket. Or you can trade them singularly if you want to. It's up to you how you're trading this, either basket or singular. But that's basically what this is telling you. And if you were to go look at any of these, you would see the RSI is oversold. And the RSI settings are in the properties. I believe it's set at 4. And we are on a hourly chart. And if you want to look back farther, you can change the look back period, but you don't want to go back too far on that. And here we have the HAS, and it is only showing us one right now, and this is according to the HAS signal and the way you have it set up in the properties. Right now we're on a 1 hour HAS, and we're only looking back at the previous closed candle. So this is, remember, this HAS is a color change HAS. It is not a directional HAS. So we only have one pair that actually shorted or changed color going down. And you can look back a little bit farther if you want to. You cannot change this to a directional. It is strictly color change. It just looks for the color change of the HAS. Okay, now here we have the Trader's Dynamic Index, and at the present time it is not showing us anything. Now on this one, the default is look back 3. I do have a little bit wider window on it to look back. You can set this to 0 if you want to, or a bigger number, depending on how far you want to look back. But right now it is not showing us any possible TDI, possible buys. Let's see if TDI, here's the TDI. TDI, what it looks for, you can change this in the settings. It looks for a cross below the 32 to tell you you're going up, or a cross above the 68, I think it is, tell you you're going down. I'd have to look at the settings. But as you can see here, not quite ready to signal yet. This would probably signal on the next candle when these two closed. You gotta have 2 closed candles, and the cross has to be below the 32. You can see it's just starting to go above, but it hasn't closed yet, so that's why that one isn't signaling. Nothing on that one. Possibility here, but it's going to be a few more candles. Possibility here after a few more candles. Well, not really, because that's the 50, isn't it? Yeah, so we're right in the middle of the thing here, so. Here's one here that would have probably signaled for a short, because we're above the 68 line, and we got the cross. So this one probably would have signaled us for a short. Possibility of a long here, depending on how it caught. These other little red arrows on here are the swing indicator. So basically that's the TDI, and right now we have no signals, but those are usually pretty good if you want to trade those when you get them. But like I said, these buttons are used to help you find trades. That way you don't have to sit and look through all 28 pairs to say look for a TDI cross or anything. Now the swing one, okay, we got 5 of them that are showing us a short swing and 2 that are showing us a long swing. Now remember that swing does repaint. Let's go look at the New Zealand dollar here once it's showing us a short swing. And this is the swing indicator, S9 swing indicator, if you have it on the chart. I just happen to stick it on the chart. But now remember, the swing indicator requires this candle, and this candle to be closed. And these two have to be lower than this one, the high, and these two previous ones have to be lower than the high. So it takes 5 candles closed to actually create this signal. This is just a fractal signal. Now you know if you put the MT4 fractal indicator on here, sometimes it'll start drawing a fractal here before this candle is closed. I don't do that. I wait for these 2 candles to be closed, then it signals on this one here. And that's what it's doing right now. We're getting a signal on that one. And let's look at the Aussie Swiss ones. This one is also signaling a short. You got the high, 2 lower highs, 2 lower highs, and it's giving a signal here. This one is still below this one. But now if this price would pop back up where it would be above this one, this signal would move over here. So that's what I mean when I say this repaints. So just remember that. Don't take it for granted, because you look back at the chart and these signals all look wonderful. Oh, if I'd only got in here, here, there, whatever, but that don't mean nothing because these move around. So just remember that. So that's the swing. So remember, these are all just there to help you pick pairs or build baskets. And the market and the heat map do have a built-in filter. You can use them as a filter, or the heat map you can use as a trader by itself if you want to. Remember, when you're using the heat map as a trade signal only, do not have any charts open that have a TS on them, because they will interfere. You don't want a trade signal coming from a chart at the same time you're getting one from the heat map here when you're using it as a trade. But remember, you have to have this turned on anyway if you're using just the heat map to do your trades. If you're using them just as a filter and have this on, then you can have your TSs active over on your charts. Now also, what I did, I put, if you go over to the web page under resources, I added a couple resources for you. One is how that Trader's Dynamic Index works. Now this was created by Dean Malone over at Compass FX. This has been around for a long time, but he gives a very good explanation on how to use it. Now basically we use just the red and the green line, but there are also other lines in there that you can turn on in the colors that will show up. He explains all that here under this video, so just click there. Pivot points is something else that's been around for a long time. This is just one example. There are many different pivot points. We'll get into pivot point indicator when we get into the new TS, Basket Trader TS. That's where we are using the pivot point indicator. But there are many different types of pivot points. Some are based on fibs. Some are just based on a percentage, equally spaced, different resistance and support zones. And there's many of them out there. So this is nothing new either. People have been using all this stuff for years. Nothing is new. It's all been around. It's just how you use it. So be sure you go over to the resources and look at those to get some idea of what's going on. That's over at the webpage. Now remember, this new stuff, I will be sending out an email with a special site you can go to download these updates and this new stuff. And like I said before, I will be sending out the email to the people who have sent me their email address and who have been posting with screenshots of how they are using the software. All this software, remember, is all free. I want to know how you're using it, and I want you to share with everybody else. If you're not sharing with anybody, if you're just coming here and grabbing it and you're not posting, you will not be on the update list. So if you want to be on the update list and keep getting the free updates and the free latest, like with the new dashboard and this new Basket Trader TS that's coming out, you must show everyone how you are using this software and how it is working for you. We are all here to share with one another. We're not just here to grab something and run and never to be seen or heard from again. So remember that if you want to be on the list. And if you go over to the blog, I just posted over there. Here you can see this is who is on the list right now. So these people will be receiving an email that will give them a special link they can go to download these latest ones. So if you want to be put on that list, start posting, start sharing, good or bad. That's how we all learn. So I think that about covers everything that's new in here. Be sending this out probably Sunday or Monday. So have a nice weekend.